really excited about this next Rockstar video. In the past, we've done individual techniques. We've done leathering, we've done bullnosing, we've done surface repair on engineered stone. But in this one, we're going to do an entire project start to finish. We're going to do a bathroom vanity, a makeup table, and a shower bench in 3cm cream of marfil marble. And we get to use a whole bunch of new Rockstar tools. We're going to use the new electroplated diamond blade for cutting. We're going to use the grinder router bit with an OG profile as our front edge detail. We're going to use a vacuum brazed concave blade for cutting out our sink openings, which will clean up with a vacuum brazed drum wheel on a grinder to clean that cut up. We'll be using the diamond sandpaper that we've used in the past. We'll be using an electroplated core bit for drilling out our faucet holes. We're going to be using these new diamond sanding blocks with electroplated and also with resin on the interior of the pad. Without any further ado, let's get dusty. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is on this Festool rail saw, we're going to use our Rockstar electroplated blade to cut the pieces up. Notice that the blade has diamonds all over the surface, which sort of sands it as it's going through it. Now that we've cut all of our pieces to size, it's time to start with the edge detail. So we're going to use a OG-shaped grinder router bit on our Bosch variable speed. You'll notice I put down a layer of blue tape, and that's to prevent the bearing from possibly marring the top and to give the bearing something to run against. Once we're done with that, then we'll start the polishing part. Alright, so we've completely routed our main piece and we've started on the sanding process. We just finished our 60 grit. The 60 grit by far takes the longest because it's doing the most work, and we have to make sure we get every bit of the lines from the router bit out. But once we've done that, we can jump to the 120 and it's pretty smooth sailing from there. Okay, all right, we're up to 800 grit. 800 is real important. That is our last of the metal bonds. It's a high hone and it sets up for the next two, which are resin bonded and are really going to put the polish on. But if you look, the 400, I'm already starting to get some nice polish. Alright, so we've completed polishing out our countertop, and the OG edge looks beautiful. Next we're going to cut out our sinks and our faucet holes. So we've templated out our sink openings. We're going to use a concave blade. This is a blade that's made just for cutting circles and radiuses and sinks. And this one in particular is a vacuum brazed blade as opposed to a segmented or the turbo. This is the one that's more ideal for the marbles, less chipping. Then after that we'll go to our drum wheel, which will give us a perfect vertical edge and smooth out any of the saw marks. Then we'll go back to our diamond sandpaper, sand it out, polish it out, and then we'll move to drilling out the holes for the faucets. Put a slight chamfer on the top and on the bottom, and that helps eliminate the blowouts and the chipping. So I would advise you to do that, just don't go too far out. We're done with that. Now we're moving on to the polishing. We've got 120 grit, 220, 400, and 800. I've got this on a 3-inch flexible backer. That's going to give us some cushion and some overhang so I can contour to the inside of the bowl. Alright, we just finished the 120 grit. I just want to stop and point out that all the lines from the grinding are now gone, and I did a chamfer on the top so they don't get any more chipping, and then I'll come back and we'll round that out to give it an eased edge and to hide the chips that came up with it. But whether you were doing marble or granite or whatever material, I would still chamfer that to try to help cut back on all the chipping that's going to happen. We've turned this around so that you can see our front edge is done. We finished out the inside of our sink opening. You'll notice that by the time we got done polishing out all those chips, we ended up with a really pretty about 1/4 inch radius. Now we're on to the last stage of our project here, putting in our faucet holes. We've got an 1.5 inch electroplated bit, and I've pre-drilled an 1.5 inch template in some particle board. We're going to clamp this down so that there's no chance of this guy wandering and wrecking our top. Be ashamed to have that happen on the very last piece. So let's get started. So there it is. What a great project, and it turned out fantastic. We started out with the electroplated diamond blade to cut up all of our pieces. We used the grinder router bit, vacuum brazed, to put that shape on. We use these new hand sanding blocks in an OG shape to put the finish on. We got to use the concave vacuum brazed blade to cut the sink out. We used our vacuum brazed drum wheel to give it a nice vertical surface to prep for our polishing. We used our diamond sandpaper to sand it and polish it out, put that nice radius on, and then we used the electroplated core bit for our faucet holes. So the next time you see me and the next time you see this piece, it'll be installed in the house. It's going to be gorgeous. So I'm Adam Tompkins. This is Rockstar Diamond. Thanks for watching.